My name is Gary Parker. I'm the Managing Director of CNT Associates that are based at the Engine House in Erith, and this is a part of a programme for the Beckley Business Support Programme, which is funded through various government funds and managed by the council. And the programme has a number of other partners. I will talk about this a bit later. I can see people are now beginning to join us. So we're shortly going, I'm going to hand over very, very shortly to the first speaker, who is Lauren Dysart. Lauren, I will now hand over to you to introduce yourself.
Hello everybody, I'm Lauren, and firstly thank you to Gary and his team for organising this event and inviting me to speak. So what I'm going to do in a short space of time is tell you a little bit about what we do as an organisation and how we potentially might be able to help you, or even just give you some ideas as to how you can progress and make your work fit to what you're trying to achieve. I'm representing Human Unity, and Human Unity is a new concept which came out of COVID. It's a group of women, and we've all got skills in communications and fundraising. And we were working individually as freelancers. And during COVID, we were approached by a number of organisations, small community groups, and registered charities, and a whole range of people that were trying to struggle with the demands and the challenges of COVID. And they came to us to help them to either set up so that they could answer some of the problems, or improve their digital approach for dealing with the COVID challenges. So we came together as a group, and then we stayed as a group because it worked very well. And the people that we were actually employed to help said, please don't sort of disband and go back to being individuals, keep together as the team. So that's what we've done. We are very passionate and very involved with our clients. So we have an ethos within Human Unity that we're not a profit-making company. We make our living, so we cover our basic expenses, but we're not a flashy agency, and we're not looking to drive Rolls Royces. We also want to make a difference. That's the key to everything. So when we're looking at clients and when we're approached by clients, they very much tend to be people that have very good ideas and are very committed to what they're doing, but they don't necessarily have large amounts of funds, and they need help in getting up and running, putting things together, and making it work. So we cover everything, everything from communications, digital marketing, and then of course fundraising, which comes into the mix because most people need to raise funds to be able to do what they're doing. So we look at their concepts, we advise, we help them with marketing strategies, and we help them with putting together how they're going to move forward. We work on a day rate, which is the best way for the clients. That's what they want, and everything that we do is aimed around the clients. So the day rate option works quite well, and we'll be very flexible. They can turn us on and off to fit with what they're doing, because again, most of the people that we work with don't have huge budgets. They're not able to say, oh, let's have the team on board for the next 6 months. You know, it's quite difficult for them. So they can turn us on and off as and when. As a team, they get one person who is actually their prime contact, and that person will be someone from our team that has a particular interest in the work that they're doing, or the ethos, or whatever they're based around. And then you get the backup of the team. And the team aspect has been very helpful, because what it means is that we all get to talk about things. So you're not just getting one head, you're getting a team of 5 or 6 people actually coming together and working with you. And the team is very varied. So we've got different ages within the team. I'm the oldest, but we have right down to sort of 26-year-olds, and they've all got different skills. But the aim is make a difference, help people that have really cool ideas to make a difference, and then they pick what they want us to do for them, how long they want us to do it, and that formula is working very well, and we're all having a lot of fun doing it, and it's been a great success. So a little bit different, and I'd love to answer any questions that anybody might have, and they can literally be from any area, because I wear an awful lot of hats, and in my lifetime I've come across pretty much everything that you get challenged with. So I'd love to help you. So please fire any questions at me, and I think Gary would like you to raise your hand or indicate on the Zoom if you'd like to answer a question. So I'll hand back to Gary, and thank you so much for coming to this. I'm sure the rest of the session is going to be very interesting.
Thank you, Lauren. Has anybody got any questions for Lauren? She will be staying on for a while as well after this, if you can't think of any right now. But has anybody got any immediate questions? James.
Morning, Lauren.
Hello.
Hi there. Do you work with private sector companies or startups in the like social end of the spectrum?
Yeah,
so
we
social
work with anybody and everyone. Obviously, when you're looking at fundraising, there are challenges with SIX and the different structures, but we have a really good understanding. I come from a corporate background, and then I've worked in the non-profit sector for many years. So how we work is not done by what the structure is of the company. So there can be startups within a non-profit basis, so small community groups. We also work with social enterprises, and we work with limited by guarantee companies as well. And we understand where the challenges are and what they are, so we're able to advise them on whether they want to change structures or how to go about achieving their objectives.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for that question, James. I've got one because I think this might be of interest to people. What are the main issues you've had to contend with to start up and run your business, and indeed continue to run it? Because that's a bit of an issue.
The biggest issue that we had was getting a bank account. It was really difficult to get a bank account. My goodness, the amount of time and work we spent on getting a bank account. The Human Unity is a company limited by guarantee, and it was really not looked upon by the banks, and a lot of the banks were closed to new accounts. We did eventually get a bank account with Co-op, and I also have this a lot with the startups across all the different structures. They find it difficult to get community accounts or to get even charity accounts. It's one of those big questions. So that was a challenge, and then I think getting our objectives straight, because every time we have a meeting they change, and my advice is that you have to have the objectives and what you want to achieve, short term, mid-term and long term. You have to have them very firmly in place, and then say to everybody, right, no, that's not changing. we're going to do that first, because people love to debate, and we came up against that, and a lot of our clients have that problem, where they start off and they've got very clear ideas to what they want to do, then a couple of debates later they're all questioning, is that actually what we want to do? And then things happen that impact on their objectives. So I think having a structure to deal with objectives is
okay, that's interesting. I've got one other question that gets asked a lot on these forums, because and knowing your organisation, it is a women-led organisation. It's primarily led by women. As a woman-led business, are there any specific issues that you've had to address to run your business? Because obviously there's a lot of issues that are common, but are there any specific that are related to women?
No, well, it's quite nice not to have any men in the company, and I don't mean that in a horrible way. It's just that we sort of all think on the same wavelengths. I've never experienced any problems working with men, or it has never really been an issue for me individually. I think some of the women on the team have, they've had the sort of issues that get reported and one here, and they definitely have had those issues of being looked over, not quite sort of reaching where they wanted to reach, not having the confidence necessarily to do things. And I think it does actually relate back to confidence. So as a woman led organization, we are all confident in what we do, so we don't get held back. We are actually we work with another community group, because Human Unity also is involved in 2 local community groups. We work with a community called Hamar Asra, which is run by BMI women, and they've actually managed to raise really good funding because they're women-led. So there are elements where it's actually an advantage if you know how to deal with it, now you know who to approach. If you have a women's led organisation, there are moves and quite a lot of things that you can do that will actually help you. So I would say it's not something that is a prerequisite that you have to have, but if it's a group of women that want to do it, then they should feel confident to go ahead. And we work with we do actually thinking about it. I hadn't really thought about it until you asked me, Gary, but we do actually work with a lot of women-led organisations. So maybe it's just that sector,
Okay.
and the kind of people that we're attracted to working with, who are very passionate about making a difference. So I hope that answers your question.
Yeah. One final question, which can apply to any kind of organisation, private sector company or non-profit, because Lauren's been very modest as usual, because she's been particularly working in IT. You worked with Bill Gates, didn't you, when they came over?
He was young. I launched in my early years. I actually worked with all the American IT companies and launched them into the UK and then into Europe. So primarily first into the UK and then at a later stage into Europe. And Microsoft was very small in those days. And Bill Gates came over. I did all the branding documents and then worked very extensively on establishing them in the UK. Never even realizing what they were going to go on and do. I actually was given the Windows logo came over from the States, and I didn't even understand what it was. You know, I mean, we were all on OS2 and looking at coding on our computer screens, and all of a sudden they were jumping up and down and getting terribly excited about Windows. Gosh, it took me ages to work out what it was. And I don't think even when I was working on it, I really realized how revolutionary it was going to be. And he never really came across as being very revolutionary. He was very ordinary, but obviously went on and built the empire and so on and so forth. So yes, an interesting life, put it that way. It was a good time. It was a good time to be in business because there were so many things happening. And IT has always been a big area that I've worked with. I launched the first email marketing into England, and that was hugely that was a massive. Nobody even totally understood what we were doing. So there were lots of times when we were actually doing things and nobody really understood what we were doing. So yeah, revolutionary and very interesting. It's been a good life. Lots of fun.
I'm going to ask this question to all of our speakers as well today. What one piece of advice would you give to someone who's either starting up a business or currently running one?
Oh gosh, just one piece. Wow.
Just one thing.
One thing. Have confidence in what you want to do, and make sure that before you start on the road to doing something, make sure that there's a demand for it. And it's not just in your head that you think it might work. You have to, whatever you offer out, it's got to have a market. It has to have an audience, it has to have a market, and it has to be cost effective. Some of the projects that I've been asked to work on in the past, you sort of look at them and you know they're going to fail before they even start, because they're going to cost too much to produce, or too much to service, or just too much based on what people will actually pay for them. So I think a really hard look right at the beginning on what you're offering. Do people want it? And can you produce it or provide it at a price where you've got a really strong profit margin? Okay,
that's the good pieces of advice there, and thanks for Lauren. If you put your details in the chat, Lauren, I've already put mine in, all the CMT details, then people can contact you, or you can contact Lauren via CMT as well. All my contact details are in the chat, but thank you very much.
Thank you, Gary.
Yeah, and if you can stick around for a while, I'd be very grateful. I'd like to introduce the next speaker now, who is James Stockdale from Fruit Geek, and I will let James introduce him. Thank you for coming along today, James, because again, I know how busy you are. Indeed, I know how busy everybody is here today, so thank you for attending. Over to you.
Yeah, morning, Gary. Thank you very much for the introduction. And Lauren, I was so fascinated by what you were saying. I've completely forgot everything I had planned to say in my coming few minutes. Working in the IT industry myself for pretty much all of my career in one way or another, I spent many years in sort of IT support within the world of Windows in my early career, and now I work pretty much solely with Apple. I worked at Apple for a few years, and while I was there, I realised that Apple makes some wonderful products, but they don't necessarily have the infrastructure to support particularly small to medium-sized businesses with anything other than some very basic support if you go into their store. So I left Apple to start up Fruit Geek, which is an independent Apple specialist, where we have the knowledge and the understanding of the Apple products and the Apple ecosystem. Yet with my background in IT support, I've also got the knowledge to be able to use Apple technology within the context of how to run a business and how to run that within your IT ecosystem. Traditionally, the Windows environment is common within most businesses, and when you grow your business to a point beyond looking after the computer or the few computers you have at the business, you'll then go out looking for an IT support business that will be able to look after your computers and do your Microsoft Office 365 or whatever it is. And in that marketplace, you predominantly find tons of IT companies that can do Windows support. And when you say, "Oh, I've got a Mac," they go, "Oh, well, we don't know too much about Macs." And what I find really interesting about that is, having worked in between the Windows and the Apple ecosystems, there's actually fundamentally the same thing. They're all computers, but yet unless you've had some experience working with both, you don't necessarily appreciate that. But nevertheless, many IT companies are out there that don't really feel comfortable supporting Apple products, even if they'll do it. And sort of this is where our place is in the market, because Apple products have become far more popular over the last 15 or so years. The Mac as a choice of a desktop computer or a laptop has exploded over the last years. That then means you've got more business owners, more directors, more startups who start off with a Mac potentially, and then as they grow their business, they need to find an IT support business that can help them, and that's kind of what we do. And alongside that, we have a fully functional workshop. You might be able to see a bit of it behind me. So we do actually repair Apple products as well in-house, particularly Macs. So again, when we have customers we support, if their laptop needs a new battery, they can send it into us, and we can change the battery here, or a broken screen, that's quite a common one, or someone spilt something on their laptop. So all those sorts of repairs, we take care of that. I'm an Apple certified technician, so I still do some of the technician based work here, And then we have another technician that works here as well, who has trained under myself. And we have admin support staff here now as well. So yeah, all in all, like that's what we do. We support local businesses and individuals with their Apple technology and how to make that work in a business context. I've been running this business we're just about to go into our 5th year. And I started off with not much more than a couple of screwdrivers and an idea. And now we've got our own customer base, our own workshop. We've got premises in Bexley Village. And it's an ongoing journey. There's a lot I want to do with the business, where I want to take it. But I can attest to how hard it is those first few years. It's always a cliche that you'll hear that our business will fail within the first 3 years, and if it doesn't, then it's got potential. And I can attest to how hard those first few years are. But here we are now, and hopefully we can continue to strive forward. So that's a little bit about me, a little bit about what we do as Fruit Geek and what we bring to the market. If anyone has any questions, I'm happy to answer.
Okay, thank you for that, James. Has anybody got any immediate questions for James about what he does or the services that they provide? I can't see immediately. You talked about, I've got 1 or 2 questions. You talked about developing your business over the next few years. What have you got any particular plans that you can share with us? How do you see it developing?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. It's something that's always on my mind. I'm always thinking 6 months, a year, 2 years ahead down the line as to where we're going. Where we are currently, over the last few years, we've kind of developed almost 2 businesses in one. So we have what we class as our kind of more domestic sort of local market. So people within the borough of Bexley and Dartford and the immediate surrounding area, they find us very easily through web search, through SEO and things like that. And they will typically be residential customers who have broken a computer, and they choose us as their workshop. So that lends itself very well to a retail outfit. So we're considering opening a storefront in the Bexley area to facilitate that part of the business. But as I also mentioned, we're doing more and more business support for small businesses that run Macs at the core of their business. And so that part of the business we're developing and may become a new business in its own right. So we're set up as an IT service provider specifically. And then we're always considering what else we can do in the community. And further down the line, I think we're going to set up some sort of social enterprise to run alongside the private businesses, so that we can, part of what we do is upgrade people's computers at work. So when we have old computers, it's like, well, how could we put those back in the community, or how could we use them for good? So we're thinking about a social enterprise that will work alongside our private businesses to, bring IT to maybe areas that find it a bit more difficult, or families that haven't got some money and need a laptop. I don't know, this is very, very early, but that's kind of the longer term plan for the business, is to actually grow it in several different ways based on where our different markets are.
Yeah. Thanks for that, James. That's very useful. And indeed, we here at CNT have been helping James on some of the strategic issues. We've got a question here from Thembi. Good morning, Thembi. Nice to see you, and thanks for coming along this morning. She says we will need IT support. We also need to buy old computers if James has access. Do you sell recycled computers now, or how does it work?
Yeah, we do. We supply new Apple products direct from Apple, and we also supply refurbished products. Most of our refurbished products come through our customers. We don't really like to go out and buy secondhand stuff to fix it up, because there's always an unknown quantity there, and then we can have a real variation in the kind of quality output. So we've got a couple of suppliers we use. Otherwise, generally, if we can find a customer where they need to upgrade their kit, because businesses will tend to replace their IT sooner than someone at home, that then we then take in those computers, service them, refurbish them, warranty them, and then we'll put them out to market so people can obtain them. So that's absolutely something we can help with. And we've also got a supplier, although Apple and Mac is our kind of like predominant area, we do have some customers who have a mixture of Mac and Windows PC. So we can cater for Windows PCs in some respect. And we also work alongside another IT company that's very good at that. So yeah, I mean, you asked a question and I will give you the answer. If it's IT related, there is either some way I can help or someone I can put you in touch with.
Okay, that's great to know. We've got another question as well from Timmy, but if you can put your contact details in the chat, James, that'd be useful. Timmy, you've got your hand up.
Yeah, thank you, Gary. Thank you, James. I wanted to quickly, well, I think you've answered my question already, but I wanted to ask if you guys specialize in where you say you help with like upgrading systems, if you have that service available for like people in the creative. So not necessarily like gaming, but more like video work and stuff like that. Because I think we definitely need something like that. Yeah, and also, yeah, I think your contact details would be great as well if it's in the chat. I'll have a look. Yeah,
I'll put them in the chat once. Once
you've finished. Yeah.
Once I've finished talking. Yeah, absolutely.
Sure, but just to clarify, James, sorry, Timmy's question.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I suppose I kind of have answered, but absolutely, we cater for clients across the board, and we've got, interestingly, we've got a few construction companies on, like construction companies or building sort of like more sort of trade-based companies, because we find they've switched over to Macs because they find them really easy to use, and they're builders and electricians and they want something really easy. And at the other end of the spectrum, we've got some digital marketing agencies, videographers, graphic design agencies, those types of businesses, and you know their needs can be slightly different, but we cater for all of those. We've installed entire networks at some of our customers, including storage solutions, so like a network attached storage, so like a file server, effectively at the premises, and then connect all the Macs to that. And then we've also got some clients that run completely in the cloud, so we manage all their cloud services, whether that's Microsoft 365, Acronis for backup, even some Dropbox. So yeah, basically, you know, we're a small business ourselves, so we're here to listen to what our clients' needs are, and then we can advise and implement whatever fits for their business.
Yeah, thank you. And so that includes like mobile, like coming out to like a office or residence stuff. Okay. No, thank you very much. Yeah, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Yeah, that's good. And the other thing I would say is that people like James and my colleague Sybil Mayard, who can't be here today, but she's a web designer in IT, are people who have a lot of credibility. There are other people in I've come across a lot of this on this program, so-called IT experts who don't have the credibility that people like James and Sybil have, and they cause some considerable problems for our clients and people I've dealt with on this program. So, you know, if you can find somebody good, my advice is to hang on to them. James, if there's one piece of advice you would give to somebody who is starting up or running a business, what would it be?
Well, I think that what Lauren threw in the ring was fantastic. That was very good sound advice. I would add to that at your earliest opportunity, and I did this pretty much from day one, is figure out some of your basic systems and processes and find yourself some sort of CRM system or some way to put that in place right from the word go, because that will save you countless hours of trying to figure it out how you go along. And it also means that when you get to the point of growing a business and taking people on, you'll be able to train them very easily, and you have a nice system to pass on. Even if that's just using a spreadsheet and Word documents and folders on your computer, organize it in a way so that once you've set the templates up and what have you, you can just repeat that over and over again. Because I have to work with startups, and not necessarily startups, who they're so disorganized that that's really hampering their business efforts, and it's taking up a lot of their mental capacity, thinking about and stressing about where this document is, why I can't find it, etc., etc. So my bit of advice would be, think about your internal business processes and figure out how you can systemize those as early as possible.
Yeah, a very good piece of advice from James there. So thank you very much. And James is going to put his contact details in the chat. And again, he's another person. I hope you'll be back on one of our other forums soon, James, just like Lauren is. The next speaker, and I'd like to thank her for coming on at very short notice, is Francine Daly. From 360 Degree Network. Over to you, Francine.
Thank you, Gary, for inviting me and allowing me the opportunity, and good morning, it's still, to everyone here, and thank you for the previous speakers. I'm Francine from 360 Lifestyle Support Network, and we educate and inspire individuals to change their lifestyle to create a better version of themselves. We do this through a peer support-led WhatsApp group, and also every Sunday at 12 o'clock, we host health and wellbeing sessions about different type of Black health. We're predominantly focused at the Black health because that's where the inequalities are. So we cater for prostate, cancer, sickle cell and thalassemia, diabetes, type 2 diabetes, obesity, hypertension, stress and mental health relating to those issues. We also promote prostate cancer awareness and also kidney and blood donation. Plus, we host a whole host of different topics. I'm trying to talk off the top of my head as well as look at my notes. So yeah, so that's what we do. And we decided to become a CIC because we wanted to give back. We saw the need, and that's why we took that, because of my personal needs. That's why we started 360, and we found that quite quickly it developed, and there was a need from our community. So the community grew quite quickly. So now our WhatsApp group is full. That's 257 members within the WhatsApp group, and we've got a waiting list for people coming in. But the sessions are usually well attended as well on a Sunday. Right, so I'm just reading the notes, and some of the things are, it's good to have a good support network. My mentor, Palmer Black, is on, who inspired me to start 360 because I went to her in her organization, Soul Purpose 360, with the idea of I wanted to do something around health, weight loss, you know, with a difference. So she encouraged me and we talked about it. And then that's how I got started. And my business partner, Leon, is also on here supporting me as well. So we've been running for a year as a CIC. 16th of March was our birthday. And in that year, we have created a community that we have changed lives, because we've got testimonials from people to say how we've impacted their lives and simple changes that they've made to reverse their type 2 diabetes diagnosis, as in pre-diabetic, and lower blood pressure, and they've taken a stock of their life, and their health and well-being is their responsibility. So we are big on collaboration and partnerships. So we've recently completed a report called from the Birmingham and Lewisham Afro-Caribbean Health Inequalities Review. That was done with 3 other organizations, and that was completed in February, where we had focus groups and one-to-ones and surveys where we spoke to our community about the inequalities that are facing Lewisham, because Birmingham also have the same kind of statistics in relation to that. So that report is now live because we presented it to Lewisham Public Health and the CCG, and also the Lewisham Health and Wellbeing Board. So that was a big achievement for us, and we're really proud of that. So that can be obtained. Also, our future plans are to carry out further research in the area of health and wellbeing, and create health and wellbeing centre in Lewisham, where people can come and use it as a safe space and get their checks done, and work across boroughs promoting health and well-being. So that was those. Do you want me to go on and answer the questions, or is that okay?
Yeah, that's okay. Thanks for that, Francine, and thank you for stepping in right at the last minute as well. Let's try and take some questions from people if we've got any. If we've not got any immediate ones, I've got a few which I wanted to ask her. Anybody got any immediate questions for Francine? You kind of touched on some of this, but what are you planning, or how are you planning to develop your business and the work that you do? Obviously, your network is expanding because that's the essence of a network. Because you're mainly based in Lewisham, is that's right at the moment? Are you looking to work in other London boroughs as well?
Yes, we are currently in talks with Brent, and I met somebody a couple of days ago, and they've got churches throughout the Midlands as well. So they want us to come to the Midlands, and you know, we are versatile, so we can travel. So you know, working across Lewisham and other areas is viable. So we can do that. That's one of the plans that we want to do.
Thank you. Of the other questions, what are the main issues that you've had to contend with to start up and run your business? Are there any particular ones that you want to highlight?
The one I remember was the bank account, like Lauren said. We went to several banks, and they want everything. For a new business, you haven't got all the requirements, so they don't allow for that. But we managed to get one in NatWest. So so far we've not had no problems with them, but it did take us a good probably 6 months to get through to get a bank account, which is ridiculous.
That's ridiculous.
But you know, we are grateful to get that. And to be honest, I haven't really had any real issues, but we have to learn, because we apply for funding and bid writing. So that's a skill that we need to learn and perfect in order to grow and do the things that we want to do. So those are the issues, the funding part, because we started just myself and Leon doing it for like a good year without funding. So, you know, it's time to grow.
Good. One thing I here at C&T, we may be able to help on that. Obviously, we are bid writers, but I put all our details in the chat. And we've got a YouTube channel, and there's several presentations on funding, and indeed there's several on how to write a funding application. You might find those useful. Obviously, you know, it's free, so if you can subscribe to the channel, I'd be grateful, because we're putting more and more information on there about funding. There's several presentations on specific sources of funding as well as how to write a bid in various contexts, and indeed various other presentations which people might find interesting. One that's particularly interesting on that is called How to Make a Living from Writing, which is by quite a well-known TV journalist and writer called Christian Wolmar, and that's definitely worth watching. It's had one of our highest views, that, and it's had even more views on LinkedIn, where it also is as well. Okay, one final question, Francine. What piece of advice would you give to someone who is starting up or running a business?
It would be to know your why, know the reason why you're doing it. So your why has to be really big to keep you motivated. Follow your passion, your heart as well. And also research is key, and support. Have a good support network around you as well. So those are the main things that I found, that having all of that encouraged me and Leon to do what we do every day, get up every day and do, and we love it, so it doesn't come in like work. So. Good,
that's important. Thank you, Francine, and again, I'd like to get you back onto one of our other presentations when we get back to doing more widely focused CNT ones, because we've got a wellbeing presentation, and I think we look for other speakers as well around that, so maybe that's something we can discuss offline from today.
Yes, please. Thank you very much for listening, everyone.
No problem. Thank you once again for coming in at short notice. Anybody else got any questions for Francine? Again, if you put your details in the chat, Francine, people need to follow them up. I'm sure they will do. And finally, last but not least, of today's speakers, we've got Rachel Barham from the Federation of Small Businesses. I can see you're on the move again, Rachel, as usual.
Hopefully there's no interruptions, but
yes, the last time there was a lot of background noise, but hopefully there won't be this time. Over to you, Rachel.
Brilliant. Well, hi everyone. I think quite a few people actually know me here already, because I can see from the names a lot of you already are members, which is amazing. But for those, just in case, and also to recap if people have joined and actually forgotten what they've signed up to, FSB is actually a not-for-profit organisation that gives you small business owners a voice. So we lobby government on behalf of self-employed and small businesses, and hopefully make sure that the decisions that they make don't have a negative impact on you. Because unfortunately, left to their own devices, they probably would. And yet small business makes up a massive percentage of the businesses in the UK. We're the UK's largest representation, and because of that, it's given us the buying power that as businesses, as small businesses, we don't have. And we secure benefits for our members that underpin business. So the areas that are maybe outside of your expertise, because of course, when you go into business, you know what you do, you're experts in that, but it doesn't mean you're experts in all the other bits that you have to deal with, because you've got to be a bit of a jack of all trades when you have your own business. But a lot of the support that we provide you is for free, as long as you're a member. So that can be things like legal advice, legal documents. We can also help out reducing costs on things like your insurances, your bank charges, card machines, and even so. We do absolutely loads of networking. We run masterclasses and webinars, which put on by our members or other small businesses. So it's their way of giving back to, I suppose, the community. But we're also there to help get involved when things maybe don't go as planned. So we give members a number of different free insurances that typically you wouldn't always think to get, because quite often when you're a small business, you might be just getting the essential insurances. So we'll give you things like tax investigation protection, just in case HMRC decides to investigate you. We'll give you legal protection and employment protection, so that you've got the peace of mind that it doesn't matter what comes at you, FSB have got your back, because unfortunately your insurances quite often don't cover specific examples because they've got so many exclusions. And we even give you a bit of cyber protection, because unfortunately cybercrime is on the up and cyber criminals love small business owners. You're viewed, unfortunately, as easy targets. So we give you an insurance policy. It is just as the basic one, but it can be upgraded to at least give you a bit more security. But membership is personal, so it covers you and your businesses, because quite often as entrepreneurs, we have more than one business. So you only need one membership for yourself, and then it will cover all of your businesses. And being not-for-profit, the cost of membership is actually very low. So it starts for the whole year, which if you bought tax investigation protection, it's not, a lot of the time it's more than that, but otherwise it's around that sort of figure, let alone everything else that you get with it. But we are doing some work with a number of different councils. So if any of you that aren't already members are in Bexley Borough or Lewisham Borough, then we need to speak, because the council will pay for a membership. They both have different criteria. For Bexley, you've got to have been running for 2 years or more and have 10 or less employees. If you don't fit that criteria, you can, I suppose, put your case forward and they will consider an application. I've just put in the chat the link that you need to apply. It's just basic details. It's just asking about your address, location, how long you've been going, etc. But there is a section in it that says, why do you think you should have FSB membership? So you can put your case there and they'll look at it. Once they've approved it, they'll send me your details and then I'll make contact. With Lewisham, it's slightly different. As long as you've got 10 or less employees, then the decision is mine whether you can have one. And of course, I'm never going to say no to a small business wanting a membership, because I know the benefits and how much support and protection we give you. Even when you think you don't need it, it just gives you that peace of mind in the background knowing it's there when you do. If it's the Surrey one, sorry, I'm reading the messages that came through at the same time. If it's the Lewisham one, just either drop me a message or give me a call and I will arrange a good time to meet you. I'm actually in Beckenham Place Park at the minute, which believe it or not, isn't Bromley, it's Lewisham. So of course, a number of the businesses here are getting free memberships at the minute, but I will be all over the borough. Unfortunately, Surrey, as I saw that question come through, I don't know. I only know the London ones, but if you know who your local membership advisor is, they would be able to tell you. If you don't, send me your details and I'll see if I can find them, and then I can forward it on just in case. If you're looking to join and pay for membership, then I can help you out. If it's a freebie one, then obviously I can try and find out for you and come back. But I'll stop there, because otherwise I can literally go into so much detail, because there is so much support with FSB. It can be quite overwhelming and I do like to waffle. So I will stop there. And if anyone's got any questions, then just shout or get in contact.
Okay, anybody got any questions for Rachel? I'd like to thank her for coming along today. James.
I applied for the FSB free membership around about 2.5 weeks ago through the Bexley Council website.
Okay. I know Martin, who is the one, I suppose, signing them off, was off sick. I don't know if it was last week or the week before. But if you email me your details, I will chase him. I know I haven't had the spreadsheet through. Normally he sends me one on a Thursday. I haven't had one this week. And I didn't get one last week either, because though I'm self-employed, the regional manager for FSB was then on holiday. So I know there's been two Thursdays where I haven't actually had a spreadsheet come through. So your name might be on it. But if not, I can give him a kick.
Because wasn't it originally there was a deadline at the end of last month to apply, and I think I did it on the last day of the month, so that probably
I think it was one of those. They put the date down when they had to have spent the money, but as long as they sent the money to us, then actually they've had to extend it. So it took them quite a while to actually sign the contract and get the money across. So that was the delays, but I don't think they updated their website.
That's fine. I just wondered, because it appeared to have gone through on the website, but then I didn't even get like an autoresponder email to say we've got your application. I just thought, and then I've been so busy I forgot about it. But when I saw you on the call, I thought, brilliant! Someone I can ask.
Yes. Well, the problem is I don't know if they actually send out an email saying you've been rejected or you haven't been successful. Yeah. So I assume if you match that criteria, there is no reason that you can't have it. If you've got less than 10 employees, you've been going more than 2 years, then it should be a guarantee. Although I suppose what they want to do is help industries that have struggled during the pandemic. So they did have a certain criteria, but to be honest, most businesses have been impacted. So as long as you put your case forward as to why you think, then there shouldn't be a reason. But if it doesn't come through on the list, I will speak to Martin and I'll come back to you.
Okay, all right, thank you.
But just drop me an email with your details.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for that. Anybody else want to ask Rachel a question? The other thing about Rachel is who she knows, because she's the queen of networking, because that's what she has to spend her time doing. So Rachel is a useful person to know if you need some contacts or information. I mean, that's not an advertised service, I know, from FSB, but it's one that I have personally found very useful. And I've been an FSB member for a long time, so I would recommend it. And it is a non-profit as well, unlike some other networks that are around. So for all of those reasons, I would endorse anybody thinking of joining. We're now pressing on. So I had a presentation, a short presentation lined up to do in case we get enough questions, but we have, which is good. So I'm going to give you some information about some things that are forthcoming. This is part of a series of presentations, larger and small. This was going to be a smaller one because this was for people to ask questions on. Our more regular ones. The next presentation we're doing as part of the Beckley Business and Employment Programme is on the 28th of April. That's the next date, so it's at the end of this month. If you're not from Beckley, that's fine. What this programme is about, there's some free business support you can get from us and other partners, and indeed you can be eligible for a free membership from FSB if you're part of that. If you're a Bexley-based business. If you're not, you're still welcome to join like today. It's just that you can't access that support. If you are from another borough, my advice is the first thing you should do is check out the local authorities website to see what's there. The other thing you could do is you could go onto our YouTube channel, which I've already mentioned, and the link is in the chat. And there's lots of there's several presentations about other sources of funding, and which I will do again an updated version at the end of this month, because obviously there's local funds around, but there are many other regional, national, even some European funds that are still around, surprisingly. Although CNT doesn't do too much work around European funding these days for obvious reasons, but we certainly do a lot around the local, regional and national funds, and there's still quite a lot of funds there in a number of areas, some that we've touched on today, like digital, for example, wellbeing. There's a number of, most of the organisations here today, and obviously community stuff that cover all of those areas. And there's some quite big funds on digital. For example, the Smart Grants Programme, the deadline is next Wednesday, though, for the current round. But you can get grants of up to £3 million on that one. That's just one digital fund, but there are many others. That is a national fund. But again, if you come onto our presentations, we go through what is out there. And there are many other sources of funding. Something else, I've just had an email about this morning, which is the Beckley Eco Festival, which is going to be on this year on the 25th of June. And that is going to be at Signet Square in Thamesmead, which is a Peabody Trust are building a lot of houses in this area, and they've built a lot of community facilities. And Signet Square, I was there with Rachel. What was it last week? No, it was 2 weeks ago, wasn't it now, Rachel? At another event focused around International Women's Day, which was very successful. But the Eco Festival, according to this email I've just got this morning, they're expecting a footfall of 2,000 people, and the theme is around health and well-being and recycling. So if you cover any of those areas, you can obviously attend, but there is various packs for organisations to get stalls, and what they sent me, a stall holder pack, a food trader pack, and a commercial market pack they've sent me. So if people are interested in that, please contact me and I will send you this email. We'll send it out on our mailing list once we format it, which will probably be in the next few days. We continue to do all of our other work around fundraising and business support for people. It's great in Bexley that we can provide free services for people, but if you're from outside Bexley, then talk to us. We may know other people, for example, like Lauren's organisation, Human Unity, and others who may be able to help as well, because we work in partnership with others. So that's about it from me today. Obviously, a lot of information is in the chat, so if you want to copy the chat, then please do. The other thing I should say is that a version of this will go on our YouTube channel in due course as part of this program, so it will be there. We look forward to hearing you all again. Incidentally, Palmer, it's really good to see you. We haven't met up for some time. If you want to have a chat sometime, it will be great to catch up, because it's quite a few years since we've had a discussion. But Palmer and I have known each other for how long? At least 10 years, probably, isn't it? Something like that.
We're old now. Don't go there.
Yes, yeah, it's a few years anyway. But you're still looking well. So you've obviously been working with Francine on the wellbeing programs, we look forward to seeing you all again. The next event, as I say, is on the 28th. Towards the end of the summer, we will be going back to our regular program of wider events, but we've run so many webinars for Bexley recently, and the business support program is still continuing. We've been very focused on that, but we certainly don't want to neglect other people, and we're still working on a number of partnership projects, which I will bring out in due course. So I'll just check if has anybody got any last questions for any of the people who are on here today, or myself, or Rachel from FSB. I can't see anybody. Oh, Timmy.
Yeah, thank you so much. So yeah, it wasn't much of a question, but it was more to say, it's literally just been an hour, but I feel so full. I want to just thank all the speakers. I came on a bit late, but I really feel like, wow, I feel so full, like just hearing the little nuggets as well. And even Rachel talking about the membership covering other businesses, I had absolutely no idea, because I do have 2 businesses, and one of them actually I thought, actually I need some of the services, but I just didn't think it was some of the stuff that you offer relates to both. So just, yeah, blown away. But thank you so much.
Yeah, that's great, Timmy. Well, please join us again. Most of you should be on our mailing list. If you're not, then all my details are in the chat, so please copy it. But the email address is info@cntassociates.com, because we can put you on our mailing list and you will get access to, you know, our newsletters and our regular mail outs about the presentations and the partnerships that we are involved in. I know many of you are on this today, but just for those 1 or 2 who may not be, because I'm not going to go through the list now. But yeah, it's been good to talk to you all, and the next one will be one with a much larger attendance, because we've tried to have a number of smaller ones again like this, so that people get an opportunity to ask questions and engage with others rather than just listening to me. Because if you want to do that, if you're sad enough to want that, you can go onto our YouTube channel, and there's 28 presentations already on there. But it's been good to see you all today, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. And thank you for joining us. Take care. Bye.